joining us this afternoon, and you are still watching Kababayan LA, kung saan po binisita tayo ni San Francisco Mayor Gavin Newsom not too long ago. He is running for California governor, and here is the second part of our interview with him. Also, great news for some, but maybe some people don't like this. San Francisco being the sanctuary city in terms of immigration.
That's right.
Not a lot of people like that, especially Filipinos, because, you know, we stand in line, we wait 25, 15, 20 years to be with our families here. But then we think that those who cut the line shouldn't be tolerated, shouldn't be, you know, should be, in a way, shouldn't be rewarded with something as what you're doing in San Francisco.
But I think we can all agree that their families shouldn't be punished either. A young child who's here legally should be able to go to school without being worried that the federal government is going to raid that school and divide a family. I think we all agree that a member of the community should get that immunization shot regardless of their immigration status, so that if they're on the bus and during the flu season they're wheezing and sneezing, the rest of us don't get sick. I think we all could agree that if someone commits a crime, that we want that person, regardless of their immigration status, to report that crime so it keeps our community safer. And that's why we have sanctuary cities. Every big city in the United States of America is a sanctuary city. Our policy goes back to when Dianne Feinstein was mayor of San Francisco almost 25, 30 years ago. It's one that I believe in. I believe in comprehensive immigration reform. I do believe people should have a process to go, they go back in the line, but ultimately have the opportunity to once again be here and live, though, nonetheless, with dignity, and I believe in those principles.
When you say sanctuary city, they are free to roam around without fear of being deported or questioned about their legality and all that. But do you provide jobs for them?
What we do, if you commit a crime, all bets are off. And I've been criticized in San Francisco for strengthening our sanctuary city so that if someone actually commits a crime, that we don't then provide those protections.
Then you get thrown out.
Absolutely. We work with the federal government. Of course, the federal government's problem is the federal government has an immigration policy that's broken. And it's the federal government's responsibility to address federal immigration. It's not a local mayor's job. It's not even a governor's. Now, that being said, governors have a strong role to play in terms of shaping immigration policy. And the next governor will be front and center in that debate. And I look forward to working with President Obama to put a rational framework around comprehensive immigration reform that addresses the concerns you bring up, but also protects the rights of municipalities not to use their local law enforcement to raid people's homes and to divide communities. It's the failure of the federal government that has advanced the notion of sanctuary cities, and it's a principle I embrace because at the end of the day, our composite strength is our capacity, again, of people of every conceivable walk of life to live together across our differences. And we can't do that if families are scared of being divided and the federal government is coming in and we're aiding and abetting the destruction of those families and the safety of our community.
And these are the ideas that you're going to take with you to Sacramento should you win as governor of California. But a few years ago, it wasn't that confident. Your supporters weren't that confident that you were going to be able to make it because of the controversy about an affair. And it hits a sore spot among Filipinos because we are Catholics and we don't we consider marriages as sacred.
That's right.
And I was just watching a show the other day and they were talking about politicians who've had affairs, and this could be potentially political career killers. What happened with you?
Well, I'm not going to. Everything could be said has been said on it. I wasn't married for the record.
She was, though.
That being said, I've said everything that I possibly could say on the topic. What I did was wrong. I learned from it, and it's a mistake that will never happen again.
Is that something that comes out of your self-appointment or self-description as an Irish Catholic rebel? What do you mean by that?
I don't know. What I mean is I've always stood on principles, things that may not be particularly popular. I believe that we shouldn't tolerate our diversity. We should celebrate it. I'm not going to give up because the public opinion polls say I should just give up on the rights of our diverse communities and just say, well, we're not going to be a sanctuary city. Let the federal government come in and divide families. I won't do that because it's politically expedient. I'm not going to sit there while people don't have health care and say it's the federal government's responsibility. I'm going to fight to get health care for our citizens. I'm not going to sit back and wait for the state of California to figure out its education problems. I'm going to fight to educate our kids. So to the extent that I sometimes march against even my own party, I'll do that to fight for people and the principles that I believe in. I'm not a politician that says one thing privately and does another publicly. I grew up in the church. I grew up in a large Irish Catholic family. And those principles are important principles to me. Those values I will always fight for. Those traditional values I'll fight for. At the same time, I do believe we have an obligation to advance the notion of equality. And that includes the notion that it's not just gender equality, and it's not just racial equality. It's equality that needs to extend to marriage equality. Good people can disagree, but again, I'm not one of those politicians that won't do what I know in my heart I believe in is the right thing just to get elected.
Is that something that forced you to run for mayor, despite the fact that before your mother died, and you speak very fondly of her, she urged you not to run for mayor?
Well, she was concerned what happens to politicians and the realities of politics. I mean, we don't speak very well of politicians. We don't speak very well of any politicians. I mean, around the world.
Only the bad is magnified.
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah, we tend to focus on what's wrong, not what's right. And there are a lot of good people in politics that care deeply about other people, that put a lot on the line and sacrifice a lot because they actually want to make a difference in other people's lives. I come from the private sector. I have a great background in business that I've been able to, I have wineries, hotels, I have restaurants. I don't need to be in politics. My mother gave me a lot of hugs as a kid, so I'm not trying to do this to build some self-esteem. I'm doing this because it's been the cause of my life to make a difference and contribute. It's what I was taught by my father and my mother growing up, and that I've been able to make some contributions is something that I'm very proud of. And as governor, I want to scale those contributions, and I want to fight for people. And I think we need a fighter. I think we need a champion. I don't think we need another politician who just talks about the way the world should be. Someone that can actually fight and stand up on principles, even when they're not popular, and champion cause of bringing the state together and getting us to another level.
That should be interesting to see in Sacramento. As final question, in one word, what will you bring to the governor's seat?
Well, I think an entrepreneurial spirit, a willingness to take risks, a willingness to be accountable, and as transparent as any governor has been. And I think more important than ever, it's about accountability. It's about getting things done, moving away from stale rhetoric to real actionable accomplishments.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for talking to us this afternoon.
Thank you.
More power to you.
Thank you.